Hello, good morning. Um, it is a little after 8:30, and I've been away for a while. I came back briefly to size out the drawer parts, and um, unfortunately, my father had passed away between that last video and today, so my focuses have been elsewhere. Um, So that being said, it's time for me to get back into my routines. I need something to do to just move on, distract myself, and get back. It's been can't lie, it's been rough, but um, I got to move on. So anyway, um, we're still working on the drawer for the desktop organizer. Since the last time I was on camera, I have since fitted. We were here. The last thing I did was measure the front and back to get them, and now I cut them to size and planed them down. And actually, this piece of wood has swollen, or maybe this piece of wood has swollen a little bit because it is no longer fitting. Although, wait a second, this piece will actually go in this way, which is how I was measuring it, and there it is. So you saw me struggling to get it in the first time. Everything is hand planed, everything is done, customizable. So that's why I was having that little bit of trouble, and there's going to be a problem once the top of the lid goes on. The thing with the drawer is you want it to be tight going when you first start it, because you're going to inevitably be playing it down to fit it. So you'd rather be close to size. You don't want it to be small to start off with. So what we're doing now is working on the drawer front. So that's going to be the front of the drawer. I don't know if you remember, I got the triangle there, that triangle, and that one, which is telling me the relative locations of everything. So the goal is to make that joint. So that's a half blind dovetail, which means when it's together, you can't see it, which is different than these. These are through dovetails. It means they go all the way through the piece. Same basic idea, but there are a few differences. And what I'm going to do is go over making that piece, because you'll notice that this is a little bit different. There's a positive stop on there, and I'm going to show you why we do that. All right, so just to make sure I'm getting everything all in order, I'm going to set this piece up so I know that that's the bottom of my triangle, which I always make sure that that's the, so when I'm making a drawer, I'm doing it from my point of view. I'm going to have it in this configuration, front, back, so I know that when I'm looking at the triangle, it's always right. So if you were in my position, this would be the front of the drawer, and that would be the back. Of when you put it down, that's how it's going to be facing you. So that triangle is telling me what's the front, what's the back. I've already got that one fitted. Now I want to work on this piece, and I know that that's how it's going to go. The dovetails have to go on the back. I have taken the time. Can we see it? I have taken the time to mark out, the tails on there. I just did that at the same time. No more than just spacing. But what I'm going to do now is oops. Let's get this back to where I wanted it. All right. What I'm going to do now is draw the lines and everything, and one extra step. So let me get my marker. Normally I would use a very sharp pencil for this. However, this, hold on, this is my outside here. I'm using my 1-in-8 template. So that's going to mark the angles, and the angles are really less important than the square cut going across. These lines I'm putting on now are more of a guideline for me. There's going to be two 2 tails, and being that mahogany is a hardwood, we're going with the 1 in 8 pitch, which is, you know, more straight than the traditional softwoods, which would be more of a 1 in 6, because as those woods compress, you can get away with or you can't really get away with this one, because over time these will come loose in a softwood. Okay, so those are the angles I am going to cut out. That piece, and that piece. Gonna bring that to the top, but we are going to do something just a little bit different on this one. And do I have it marked out? No. Oh, yes, I do. I did it all at the same time. I marked that line out there, which you'll notice I am going to have to line that up myself. You'll have to trust me on that. When I put the dovetail in, it doesn't go all the way through. It's going to give me about 1/8 of an inch on the top, like this, so that way the draw front just looks a little bit more elegant. Didn't want the draw to have the dovetails poking through. Could have. The draw would work just as well with those. If it was a through dovetail as opposed to a half blind, it just looks fancier. So I've got that. We're going to take the square. My reference edge is the one that I've marked, and we are going to knife in a line. And this is a little bit unusual in that we're knifing the line in on the inside of the box, not the outside. We're doing this first. So that's going to come through lightly at first, a little heavier, and pretty much as heavy as I want. All right, and just because this piece is a little thin, I'm using the outside face as my reference. Gotta get that in. All right. Just getting a light pass. I'm pushing down hard with my forefinger, holding tight, squeezing tight with all these other fingers, so that way my knife doesn't move, and that will set everything down. I've got one of my marking gauges set really, really shallow. I don't even know what this measurement is. I'm gonna run a line here. I'm going to run a line down here just up to the mark I made, and same thing here. And what that's going to do, I'm going to create what's called a rabbet on the back of here before I actually start cutting the joints out. And what that will do is give me a positive stop. So let's start that process. Safety first. Going to put everything in the vise nice and tight. Sharp chisel, and I'm just going to go into that line that we just created. You know what? Because that knife didn't go in as deeply as I would have liked, we're just going to take another pass. So what I'm going to do is put my knife right up against that wall, slide the stock of the beam over, and we're going to cut down again. And this is not going to be, like I said, I haven't even measured this. I just kind of went with what looked good, and that's about, I'd say about 1/16 of an inch. It's irrelevant because everything is going to be measured off of it anyway. We're going to kind of measure in situ. All right, going to take off some of this waste wood. I'm trying not to go deeper than that line that I created a minute ago. Give myself a little start. And going across the grain, not taking it all off in one pass. And as I get to the end, I'm just going to be a little bit more careful because I can get blowout, which I'm not too worried about because that end piece is going to come off, but it can go down the side, so I don't want to do that. And Problem with mahogany and lines, it's hard to see even for me being right here. All right. So I can still go down a little bit more aggressively before. Yeah, in order to get it perfectly flat, I'm going to switch to a router plane in a minute. And this step isn't necessary per se, but it does make doing half-blind dovetails a little bit easier. I could probably do it on a regular dovetail as well. I haven't really experimented with it. Right now, I'm trying to get it in here so that way I have full access to the very top. I'm gonna grab my router, my homemade router plane. Ooh, ah. And I'm using this as a reference so that blade should be the same distance from the bottom of the plane as that marking gauge. If it's off by a little bit, that's fine. And actually, I think I should go down with the chisel a little bit more. I'm just going to take off the corner just to make sure nothing's tearing on me, as mahogany will do. Just using the corner of the blade. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna hit it a little bit more at the chisel because I just don't like the way that's coming off. I'm a bit nervous about the wood fibers going through my score line on the bottom, that shoulder line. Once again, just because of the nature of this wood. So we're going to take off another layer. And let's come in here. That line should be thick enough for me to just follow. I want to score those lines so that way, those fibers, those wood fibers, I want to score those so that way when I do get the blade in, they break instead of continuing down. Okay, I think we're in a better position here. Come from the other direction because I don't want to blow that side out. And this, I like this knife a little bit better for this job. Okay, so that should do it. Although, because of my visual, I like attacking it from this side. I can see better without anything being in my way. Okay, so what we have now, get that out of the way. What we have now is a positive stop right on the edge there, and that will come in handy when I am trying to lay it out. I can pull that tight up against there, which I still have to do with the through dovetail, but again, you'll see why in a minute. I do need a line to show me where to stop sawing from, but I don't want to knife it in yet because I don't know where it's supposed to start and stop, so I'm just going to go up to the lines I have on the two ends, and we'll just put that in there so I can see it. I can't really see. Problem with working with a dark wood, I could use a white pencil as well. Generally, I do like the marker, although this one, there it goes. I found with the Sharpie, you kind of have to rotate it a little bit in order to continue getting the nice lines. From here, this is now just a basic cutting of a dovetail. You've seen me do this before. Grab my dovetail saw, I'm going to put a little oil just to get rid of the friction. Most important cut is this one that goes straight across. I'm on the X side, the waist side of my line, and I'm focusing all of my energy to make sure that's perfectly 90 degrees going across. From there, I am going to angle it and follow the angle that I penciled in, which is a far less important angle to me. because it doesn't matter. Whatever angle I put on here is what I'm going to match on the other piece. So that it'll become more important then. But right now, the slope of the dovetail is really not terribly important. Consistency is good. It makes it look good. I'm trying not to go past that shoulder line, nor am I going past the line on my side, which you can't see. I'm going to jump over this side just because my body is already in that particular field. Okay. Once you get the line in, I'm going to drop this hand to follow the line, and then I'm going to lift back up, because then the saw will follow the path of least resistance. So right now I'm following the line that I put on, which I can't really show you because I still have to be able to see it. But now I am just gently, and I don't know if you can see, I'm not bulldogging this saw down. I'm just kind of letting the weight of the saw make the cut. And I think I mentioned this last time, when I'm going back the other way, I always seem to struggle from this angle. I think some of it has to do with my light. My light source is right here. So on here, I can see my line a lot better. Here, my saw is actually in the way. I've got lights above me. I do want more of a light source coming in over my right shoulder. I think that would help me out. All right, good. And now this one. I don't really need to keep my finger there, but it just feels better to me, so that's why I do it. I don't know if you could hear that. The saw was kind of jarring, and instead of bulldogging down on it, I kind of lifted it up and went with a lighter stroke. Let those saw teeth do the work for you. All right, get hung back up. So now we have the lines cut. I don't really need a knife line back here because it's already there. I do need knife lines on the front. So again, I'm going to go to my reference edge. I'm going to go into one of these corners that I've already knifed out. And some people will draw a line all the way across. A lot of old pieces of furniture, you will see the knife line still in there. Not the end of the world. I mean, you're not doing any kind of structural damage. I just prefer not to see them. So now I'm going in just where my X's are, going in between the lines of just the items I want to take out. So you can't really see it again because I have the black pen mark, but you can. I don't know if you heard that right there, that little click. That's my positive knife line right there. So I'm going to go and take out that middle piece, slope that in there, give myself an angle. I need a couple of small chisels for I don't know about that one. So we're going to go with an even smaller. This is an 1/8 inch chisel. I don't use this one very often, but sometimes it's necessary. Okay, can I fit this in here in between the two? Yeah, I think I can. Grab the mallet. I'm going to give it a fairly firm blow, not right. I'm not putting my my chisel right on that knife line. I'm coming out just a bit. And now that shoulder is there, it rocks, and I want more of a positive thing, so I'm just going to put that underneath it. And we're going to give that a good blow. On the back, I can just do the same thing. I don't have to be as persnickety because I already have a wall built up. So I'm not really going to move that knife line. I'm still not going to hit it hard, but we're just going to give ourselves a start. In and out of the vise. That's for safety reasons. Going to go back to my smaller chisel, angling it, and then going right in the center. And what that's doing, I don't know if I think I've explained it before, that creates a little waste area, so that way when the chisel goes in, the bevel of the chisel is not being forced into the rest of the wood. It's going to go straight down and not move the knife line. That's the point of taking out these little pieces of wood first. It's just so that way the chisel, the bevel of the chisel has somewhere to go. I mean, if you look at the chisel, so it's flat on the back, we've got this bevel on the front. If you just put it straight into the middle of the wood and pound it, that chisel is going to wedge it backwards. And it moves the knife line, you get gaps. Nobody wants gaps. Now, I am going to go right into that line, and I can't really see it, but I can positively feel it. Now you hear that dead sound, that means the chisel's just not going to go any farther. I'm not going to pound it. I don't want to do any more damage. I'm just going to get a little bit more into the corner. Same thing here. I already have an established knife wall with the shoulder line we put on. I want to give it a little bit more of a aggressive tap. And back into the vise. This is I think this is only 3/8 material. It's not even half an inch, so this is pretty thin. Which means that the bottom of the drawer is going to have to be finagled a little bit. Normally I'd put a groove into the bottom of the sides and the front, not the back. You do that so that way you can slide the bottom in. You don't go all the way down. This is just about ready to pop out. I'm going to go from the back first, because I want it to break through from the front. We're going to try something different, something I've never tried on a drawer before. We're going to make, I think they're called slips. We're going to make a groove that goes, there it goes, that goes around the inside of the drawer where the bottom will be captured. Yeah, the bottom of this one, for example, that was glued on. That's one way of doing it, but I want these pieces, I want to be the exact size of theirs, of the opening. So if I put a glue on a bottom, it's going to make the drawer taller, and I don't want to do that. All right, so the next step is just to get rid of the two thin pieces. Slightly bigger chisel. This one's a little too big, but it will work. Just going to create a little line for myself and go into a cross cut saw now. My Long Island almost really came out there. Going right along that line I just made, and I'm always cutting from the front to the back, because if there's any blowout, it's going to be back here, and I'd rather that be on the inside of the drawer than the outside of the drawer. Not cutting directly to my line. I got it angled. I mean, it's very, very slight. But if you looked at it, if I was going straight up and down, I'm going that way. I mean, not nearly that much, but that was exaggerated. But that's essentially what I'm doing, so that way I can just take my chisel and pare down to the knife lines that I have created. All right, one down. Actually, a smaller chisel, but still big enough here. Have some trouble starting this one, so there you go. And I fix that by taking some pressure off of it. I don't want to go into the side of that dovetail. Okay. The next step is to then clean those up. I'm going to grab, there we go. What do I have here? A 1/2 inch chisel. And you probably can't see, but I can see the knife lines that I put on there. And I'm going to go more towards the back, because if I mess up, I want it to be on the back, not the front. All right. Trying to make sure that that corner is nice and crisp. And that looks pretty good. I can finagle it just a little bit more. This one, I left a lot on this one. So I'm not even going to take a full stroke. I just took about a quarter of it. Again, I can feel, I can clearly see where the lines are here, but I'm kind of trying to feel for it with the line that I put in before. All right. I may have dipped down a little too far there. Yeah, I went down a little too far, so that's going to show as a small gap, but nothing that can't be fixed. All right, so what I'm going to do now, let's get the inside of this one, because I want to show you the next step before I stop this video. Okay. All right, so now we got to transfer these pins onto here, and you got to see the benefit of having that little gap there. I'm going to use this piece. I just want something to raise this up a little bit. Doesn't really have to be exact. That just makes it easier for me to grab. Gonna only use this knife because it's thinner. So what I'm doing now, I don't have to worry about how far in I'm pushing, because I'm pulling it hard against that stop that I made. So here we go. Right now I'm focusing on getting the two sides flush. Using my fingertips. Okay. I think I got it. Normally I would look down to see if I'm seeing any light between those two things, but now I don't have to worry about it, because that rabbit we put on makes it very positive. I can't not be in that spot. So I'm going to take my knife very lightly, trace around the tails. We're going to make the tail recess here. So I'm trying to, almost feels like I'm trying to go underneath that, because it's you want it to be tight, but you'd rather have it too tight than too loose, because you can always take more out. And when we're cutting, like right now I'm cutting into the end grain. I'm not really cutting the fibers, I'm just kind of separating them. I'm moving around. Once they get moisture in there, they will swell back up. This is where we really like this positive stop. I could have done all of that with just a regular dovetail. This step here, when you're going across the grain, this is hard to do. I'm pushing down hard, but I'm also pushing into the board, because I have to have a straight line going across here. Okay, so now, where's my pen? So now I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take this out. We're going to measure how deep we have to go, and normally we would like put it on the side and measure that way, but we got to remember we put this step in there, so we don't have to be the thickness of the board, we have to be the thickness of the tails. My reference side is here, so I'm going to take the tail side. I'm going to have the flush one to the board, and I'm going to bring that up to where it's even, right about there. Oh, no, you know what? The beam of my square was not flat. Okay. So I know that I'm going to eventually want to cut down. I'm going to want to cut down that far, and we want to cut square down. So I'm going to go where those knife marks are. And there's some argument to be said that cutting half-blind dovetails are easier than through dovetails, because you don't have to be as precise with your sawing. You can make up for it with clean chisel work. And that'll be another video, because this one is getting fairly lengthy. All right, so that's coming out, that's coming out. But the trick is going to be to let this up here stay. So we got to figure out a way to do that, which, like I said, will be in the next video. Good to be back. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in a little bit.